Welcome you all to this webinar, HROne's webinar on the talent acquisition in the age of AI. Um, that was a Friday morning, 10 a.m. As usual, I went to my office. The year was 2015. So I'm going back to 9 years. I was on my way to office. I was getting calls from my team, of course, the talent acquisition team, to check if I'm reaching office. I've rushed to the office. The entry scene that I have seen while parking my car was around 100 people at the security gate writing their names. Okay, there was a big queue, and then I parked my car, entered into my office. I could see another 30 people sitting in the lobby filling the application forms. The other side, I see my recruitment team, around 10 recruiters rushing here and there with the booklets. Now, all these candidates were placed in a big conference room where these booklets were handed over. And then what is this all about? They are all here to be hired, and we were hiring for Java developers. I had a mandate of 10 Java full stack developers, and I see around 80 to 90 people at my office. That was the Friday morning scene. Okay. And then there was a whole lot of coding tests. Then after the coding test, my team were busy and looking at the scores. And from there, they moved the candidates who got shortlisted in the coding test to other rooms where we have the technical panel sitting in the different rooms. The idea was to invite the people to our campus, our office, and then finish the whole process by 5 p.m. But as we all know, it went up to 8 p.m. in the night, right? And I still see candidates are waiting in our, front office area to be offered. If I cut it there, if we are in 2024, today I'm still hiring. I have a mandate of 100 positions in my plate. My Excel looks like 100 open positions, but I don't do the same work that I have been doing in 2015, right? There's a whole lot of transformation. I have a smart ATS today where I can have hundreds and thousands of candidates on the other side. I have a JD. I have a smart ATS which tells me that these are the top 50 people that I should look at out of 10,000 CVs. There is a smart match ranking indexing happening. That is an input for my team, and from there, whole lot of automation, right? There is parallel interviews happening. There is assessment happening. Not only the technical assessment, we are also looking at behavioral assessments from the candidates. We are creating candidate experience. That is the transformation that we have seen in the last 10 years. If I call it as industry 1.0 to 4.0 and going to 5.0, that is the whole transformation that we have seen in the last 10 years. Hello all, my name is Shashikala Vedam and I'm from Hyderabad. I carry an overall work experience of 17 years. I have worked in diversified industries like IT, ITES, healthcare, BFSI, and facility management. And I have worked for six different companies over the last 17 years. I played various roles across my career and bring my expertise in human resource management, talent acquisition, diversity and inclusion, HR transformation, and talent management. We are all here to understand what is this all buzz about AI in the age of the talent acquisition. I would now like to invite and introduce our panel to this webinar. We have a diversified panel today, and let's see and deep dive into this whole topic of AI, right? I hope you're all with me. Yash, I would like to introduce you first to the audience today. Yash Deliwala is the CHRO of Illuminati. Yash, over to you if you can introduce yourself.
Uh, Good afternoon, and thank you very much, Ashikala, for inviting
Yeah.
me on this beautiful seminar of talent acquisition. As you shared your experience, I have the same. Worked almost 15 years across the globe. Started the first job in Dubai as a talent acquisition executive itself. What is the key role for anybody to start in the HR and the most dominant area in the HR? And slowly and steadily moved out of the talent acquisition, but now just handling the head of the departments and the main root cause of the business, and hiring them and recruiting them for a longer period of time, and just pursuing doctorates and taking degrees of different genre. Going with my second doctorate this year. I already had in finance, now in HR, and doing a law itself as well. So I can have be a key asset in your speaker panel, and like to give my inputs over here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Yash, for the quick introduction. I would now request Mr. Vishwanath Raju. Vishwanath is the head talent acquisition for Answer. Vishwanath, you're a quite known name in the industry, and you have taken 150 plus webinars in the recent past, and I myself was part of those webinars. A quick introduction. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, HR1, for this. Thanks, Shashikala, for introducing me. I'm eagerly looking forward. I come with close to 20 years of experience, like Yash and Shashikala. Worked with banks and tech companies and all that. Now working with Answer, we are setting up new GCCs every week. Happy to be part of this, and thank you very much, HR1, for organizing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vishwanath. Moving on to Varsha. Varsha Jaiprakash, she is the lead HR for University of the People. Varsha, over to you, please.
Thank you, HROne and Shashikala, and all the best for my panelists as well. So, I joined a marketing process outsourcing company. It was a small company as an HR recruiter, and I really wish the story that you narrated in the beginning, I really wish that happened to me, but unfortunately, it didn't. So I wanted to explore more. I moved to Dubai, looked out for a job there, joined a recruitment consultant firm, and I learned a lot about the international market as well. Came back, and I'm happy to be joining University of the People, learning more about the education sectors and hiring and taking care of the employee management, employee experience, and talent management. And I'm looking forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Varsha. Last but not the least, I would now like to invite Mr. Prithvish Murlidhar. Prithvish is the Associate Director, Talent Acquisition for Biocon Biologics. Prithvi.
Thank you, Shashikala and HR1. Very happy to be here amongst other panelists. Thanks for taking the time, all of you, to listen to us, and I'm sure we learn in this process. I'm based out of Bangalore, and I work for a pharma organization called Biocon Biologics. I've spent about 15 years in the industry, largely in IT with TCS, both in India and in the US, and got back to India recently. Spent a lot of time in the talent acquisition space, apart from corporate HR, HRBP, and total rewards roles, and very extremely happy to be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Prithvish. That is the diversified panel that we have for today, and I'm sure our audience are equally excited to, listen to us. As we know, there are few ground rules. I request the panelists to share the real-time examples, which they eventually do. They all carry wealth of knowledge with them. Let's make most of it, most of the discussion. And then manage time is something which I will be doing just to keep a track of time, because the topic that we have is such interesting. At times, we might get over the time, but I might have to give a hard stop there. Bear with me, please. And then a tip for audience, please make your notes. If you are not making a notes, within 5 minutes from this session, we are definitely losing something important. I definitely try to do that, which is a good practice for all of us. Please try to make keep your questions ready. You can also put the questions in the chat. At the end, this is a session of 60 minutes. At the end of the session, we would definitely like to look at those questions, and we will definitely answer a couple of it. If the time permits, we will try to do it. Otherwise, please feel free to reach out to all the panelists, and they're ready to help you out with the further queries. Now, the whole context that we have today is all about AI. Now, AI, everywhere it is AI, right? AI has been there around some time, and it's not that today we are hearing about it. It just has come to the surface now, and as we all know, it's the buzzword now. Now, Industry 4.0, Industry 5.0, both are focused on integration of physical and digital world, balancing both the worlds using advanced technologies to transform industries. I think on that note, I would like to, start the segment one. We have divided the whole session into 5 segments. The first segment, which is again the leveraging talent acquisition with the help of AI. Prithvish, I would like to understand from you, how do you think, how can AI improve the efficiency and the effectiveness of the talent acquisition process? If you can throw some light for our audience.
Absolutely. So I think Shashikala very clearly brought out a 2015 to a 2024 roadmap. And if you could just close your eyes and think for a second how much has changed. And I know a lot of you here on the call are talent acquisition professionals, and I'm sure you'll relate extremely well to the kind of transformation we've seen. In my view, in fact, just 10 minutes before this meeting, I got out of a meeting with the business. It was an intake meeting of understanding certain requirements in the supply chain function. How different was it? Was just 2 years back, we used to take notes and then understand what the requirement is. And today we could finish the scoping exercise in about 2 minutes because we could feed critical skill requirements, experience, education into our smart ATS. And it is already running its engine to come up with a very smart JD. So obviously use of NLP and other techniques in your algorithms, right? So that's how easy a conversation today with the business in terms of scoping, in terms of understanding a JD, and moving it to a supply chain is becoming easier. So just a quick live example of what I saw in the last 10 minutes. I'm currently in a very exciting phase in my current organization, transforming all of HR processes, hire to retire. Obviously the focus right now is on talent acquisition. So from a efficiency standpoint, right, we've all seen some of the work that AI has been able to do. Large focus is on transaction related aspects. How can you do it at a faster scale? How can you do it in a more agile environment? Is the key, right? So from that standpoint, it can be JD writing, where it uses NLP, where it is, from a prescriptive to a diagnostic view. How can you move into a predictive analytics, right? AI is able to demonstrate that. In your overall interviewing experience, right? How can you schedule with looking at the slots with your hiring managers and candidates without much of involvement of your recruiting partners? And how can you also demonstrate a very classy interview experience? And right, and looking at assessments, looking at the whole candidate experience piece. These are your creating your or getting your efficiency levels much better, right? So that's the efficiency part of it. Now, how can you make it more effective is looking at matrices like your turnaround times, or your how fast can you hire. The constant dialogue which has not changed from hiring managers is we need talent as of yesterday, right? And with AI, with faster ATSs, you can get that to a reality by doing a lot of these aspects, right? From scoping to your sourcing, everything faster, so that your overall turnaround time effectiveness is there, and you're looking at faster decision making with some accurate data, eventually helping us achieve your quality of hires, looking at diversity, and eventually creating a very happier workforce. So this essentially forms your effectiveness side of the AI in talent acquisition. I'm sure we'll hear more with all my co-panelists out here, but this is my view at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Prithvesh. That's a very good icebreaker, in fact, for the session, right? You have summed it up well, the whole efficiency of how it is coming right from narrating the JDs for us to creating the whole candidate experience while offering the candidates, right? Looking at the entire recruitment life cycle. I think that's the ice-breaking question for us. Now, I would like to move with Varsha. Varsha, what do you think? Now that we know that the process and efficiencies are coming up with AI to improve the effectiveness of the whole talent acquisition process, what could be the potential drawbacks, or I would say risks, associated with AI in the recruitment? What is your take?
Thank you for that question, Shashikala. And Prithvish, it was a great point. He said we can be faster and it's more effective, it's more efficient. But yes, there are a few drawbacks that we could see. I would like to begin with lack of context. Let's say that and I'll take a real time example here. Let's say we had a replacement. Okay, somebody was a non-performer, and we put them in PIP and they were leaved from the organization, and the hiring manager wanted to go for a refill, a backfill, right? So we create the JD, and if it is AI, they will certainly go for the same JD. They'll fetch the same kind of profile, same CV, and they'll give the same set of CVs from the same bunch of ATS or applicant tracking system. But if it is a human involved in the process, this human would go back to the hiring manager, or they would go back to that reporting manager and talk to them. Hey, so what went wrong with this person? So what did you feel that there was a gap there, right? So human intervention is missing when AI is involved there. So that's one real time example that we can see here. Next, at the time of screening, let's say that I'm hiring for a data analyst, right? And SQL, advanced Excel, Microsoft Azure, a lot of things would be definitely there. So technically they're perfect, but do they have the adaptability? So can AI screen the candidate likewise? Do they have the right set of mindset, right? Do they have the correct professional attitude? Right? Do they have any anger issues? We never know unless and until we screen them properly, right? So that's second thing while screening. Then another point is identifying the cultural fit or the departmental fit of these applicants, right? If I want a soft spoken person to my department, I'm from a university, right? I want to hire an academic coordinator for academic operations department. I need an assertive team member. How much AI can screen this person like that, right? So I would only know when I speak to them, right? And if I'm hiring for a learning and development department, I need a soft spoken person. So I think that a human touch would definitely be needed, and the lack in the over dependency of AI, somewhere we get stuck there. So I think these are the drawbacks when we rely too much on AI in terms of talent acquisition. Thanks for the question, Shashikala. Yeah.
Thank you, Varsha. That's a very good point, right? From the university background, right? Varsha is coming from the university background. That's the experience that she carries. Yash, this question is for you. On
Yeah.
that note, right, what Varsha has just mentioned, could you provide few examples of AI tools or rather technologies that have transformed TA efforts,
See, I
talent
will
acquisition
here
efforts?
give you a very bold statement that everything can be replaced by AI. But the supervision part is difficult to replace, where Varsha is very right. The human touch is required, or Pritesh has already speak about this. So that human touch is required. Otherwise, the day-to-day working, like screening, saving, ATS has came. So now everything can be done. Multiple prompt has to be putted in that particular area, then everything can be done. So let's say, for example, there is a tool called as greenhouse. So greenhouse is used for ATS, and you can put multiple, what Varsha said, the multiple ways of hiring people, and you can get multiple JDs are there. Everything is there. If you put for one position, multiple JDs, they can screen according to that particular front. Then there is also called as higher view, which is there for screening and everything. There are psychometric tests which is there. If you need a soft spoken person, then you need to give that prompt particularly to that tool that you want to find out these people from the interview which the AI is taking, and then only they can able to get it. But the biggest problem with the AI is giving the right prompt. If you don't give the right prompt to the AI, it will go haywire. That's the thing. And apart from that, let's say, for example, a lot of day-to-day work which the talent acquisition people are doing, like chatting with people, giving addresses for the interview, everything can be done by robots. So no human is required in that particular thing. But a human touch is required when we are finalizing people. Otherwise, it goes haywire if we totally depend, or the over dependency, which my co-speakers has already told about. So then it will create a problem. But up to 80 to 90%, we can make AI work for us. So human is free from the day-to-day interaction, and we can think for a longer period of a longer version, and we can grow together with the help of AI.
Oh, that's
So
brilliant, Yash.
yeah.
Yeah, so having the right prompts, I think that's the answer from Yash, Varsha. I circle back the question to you again, Varsha, with your experience. How do you ensure that AI doesn't reinforce bias in the recruitment process? Any take on this?
Yes. So I'd like to continue from what he just
Yes.
said, the right prompt. So let's say somebody is we say, uh, we saw what we reap, right? Just like that. We need to identify the right person to do the job. For example, in the screening process itself, right? The programmer has to be given the right set of data to get the right outcome. If we are not giving the right set of data, then the outcome would be biased or different. So that's one thing. So when we are thinking about the accountable person, when we are not confident about the accountable people involved in the hiring panel or the programmers designing the data, whomever is involved in the AI process, then I am not sure about the end result here. So the identifying the right person to do this job to set the data ready is very important. Secondly, transparency is very important. For example, with the HR recruiters, they should know what are the data that the programmers or the AI people have set, right. There should be that connection between the two. If there is disconnect, then there'll be a lot of disconnection there, and I'm not sure once the candidate joins, then the hiring manager and the HR team would be feeling indifferent about the new joiner. So transparency is definitely needed,
Yeah.
and we constantly need to reprocess the data. Let's say that the department involved in the process, they relieved from the organization, and nobody's taking care of that, and nobody's looking after the data. And if data reprocessing is not done on a proper cycle, then we'll lose track of that.
Yes.
And so I think these methods would be, we can take more of effort to remove the bias. So
Yeah.
again, I'm
Thank you.
coming back to the same point of reinforcing the
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Varsha, for
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Thanks for adding your input there. Let's understand what Vishwanath, Vishwanath's take here. Vishwanath, this is for you. Now, what measures can be taken to maintain a personalized candidate experience while using AI in the talent acquisition?
Okay, so very interesting question, Shashikala. Thank you very much. Advantage of talking the last is that good points will be taken. I think one of the point that I want to talk about experience with which has already taken, I think prompt Yash and Varsha has already taken. So let me go back to what I want to say. So guys, just understand that you are looking at an email, and the moment when you go to the second line of the email, right, and you feel that hey, this could be a mass email. This is not something that is meant for me, and you are out. You might be a great candidate. You're not applying. What if the the email comes to you says that hey, we saw your profile on LinkedIn. Congratulations for an award that you won last year, and then you are also writing something on AI in recruiting. Hey, here is what I have a role for you. Look at that email, and that personalization can be done by AI. If somebody has to really personalize that email, Shashikala, for you, they have to look at 10 different websites. That is the power of AI. Human touch points. So that is something that you can look at it. Customize recommendations. So you have a great ATS and you have thrown 3 or 4 people from the ATS that they are not shortlisting for some roles and all that. What if ATS can recommend them the roles that they are suitable based on the job description and also the resumes? And finally, something to do with continuous feedback, right? So I think Yes talked about frequent tuning. I think Prithvish also talked about tuning, and I think Varsha was also talking about data interpretation and all that, right? So AI will only be successful when you are constantly tuning that, constantly training that, right? That's my view, and thank you very much for the question, Shashikala.
Thank you. Thank you, Vishwanath. Actually, that's very valid point, right? See, for one position, we may call 5, 10 candidates and we hire only one. What experience that we are giving to other 9 is very, very important. And I think AI giving, helping those prompts is actually, a very valid point that you brought on this note, Vishwanath. Thank you for that. So now, guys, this is the segment 1 where we covered how AI can leverage, right? AI can significantly enhance the efficiency. There's no no doubt about it. Effectiveness of our recruitment efforts, yes, very much. From automating repetitive tasks, that's what we are trying to do and ease our job, right? To providing data-driven insights. I think the AI is going to help streamline the talent acquisition process. Now, coming to candidate experience, this is a whole lot of another topic. Everyone is talking about candidate experience. While hiring, we talk as we take it as a candidate experience, having those right touch points. We all know how to do it. I'm sure a lot of the TA folks and HR folks are here in this webinar. I'm sure you're all listening to this. And experience is all about that matters, right? I would also relate, and we all will resonate to this example as well. At a few years ago, when we go to any restaurant, right, all these good restaurants, the food is being served, and if we don't like the food, right, we call the person, waiter, waitress, to we call them and we say that, hey, this is not something that I like, and he or she will go eventually call the manager, and he will come to take the feedback from us. But if you see today, I'm sure this is the case with most of us, in the modern kitchens, at least modern restaurants, the chef himself in his own, he directly comes out from the kitchen and he will check the feedback, right? Why he's doing his job is there in the kitchen, but he's coming all out and asking us the feedback. Ma'am, do you like this? How do you like it? And that is the kind of experience that we are trying to create, right? Whole lot of experience. On the very topic, Vishwanath, that you talked, another question for you: how do you balance the use of AI with maintaining a human touch? You talked about human touch also in the candidate interactions, and we are also talking about AI, the topic for us. How do you get that balance in creating the experience?
I think it's a pertinent question, and I think we all heard this statement that I would want to treat you the way I would want to be treated, right? First thing that they want to know is I'll give an example, right? I think early 2016, 17, and all that, we looked at one of the metric. Microsoft is one company. They claim that the guys who did not get shortlisted, they recommend people for the jobs, other people for the jobs, and they get shortlisted. So look at it, the experience that they have created for the person who's not getting shortlisted, but then this person is also happy to recommend somebody else for the job, right? So whether it is shortlisted or not shortlisted, rejected is a very wrong word to be used. I think the fair treatment needs to be there. So for me, I think there are 7 aspects. Strategic touch points. Who are those strategic touch points that you would want to be part of that? Don't replace them, augment them, right? And then you have to have a personalized AI for them, transparently communicate them, use AI and all that. Human oversight, there could be human oversight. Hey, I was supposed to call Shashikala today at 2 o'clock, but I did not talk. Can AI prompt you to tell that, hey, you are supposed to talk to Shashikala? And can AI send a message to Shashikala saying that, hey, I was supposed to talk to you, but then my team, I was not able to talk. That is the kind of thing. And candidate feedback. And you always need to understand the feedback coming in, and tuning the process and training the recruiters, right? So recruiters are busy. I think Yes spoke about this, but then what are they busy out of? Are they busy doing transactional work? Okay, can transactional work can be done by AI, and can strategic work done by human beings? To the point Varsha mentioned. That's my view, Shashikala. Thank you.
Great input again from you, Vishwanath. It's very important, right? Having right touch points at the right place. And I like the word stop augmenting, not rejecting. Rejecting is not a good word. As I mentioned, we will still look at the same candidate that we said no because of whatever is the reason, 3 months or 6 months eventually down the line. There's no way that we cannot create the candidate experience because the market is the same candidate, right? Even for the big five, even for us, the candidates are same. I tell this to my team. I'm sure they're also listening here. That's a very good input from you, Vishwa. And then this is another question, Yash, in your view, what are some misconceptions about AI role in enhancing candidate experience? Is there any misconception? If at all we have, what are those?
You're on mute.
Yes,
Like,
you're on mute.
Just hold on. Yeah. So the biggest misconception when it comes to AI, that AI will replace human being. That is not practically possible at all. So you all panelists will agree with me on the same, that whenever you go into the campus interview or something related with the freshers, so they have like, okay, we will not go into the HR domain because it will replace eventually. No, it will not replace eventually. See, I can give you a very good example. When calculator way back invented, everybody was thinking that the people will, those who are doing accounting will be replaced. Or when the tally has came, or the any accounting software has came, the bank has gone to the strike in 1998. Vishwanathan might agree with me and had already seen that era as well. So they were saying that SBI was saying that these people will, computers will replace human beings. That one computer will do the work of 100 people, but they were not knowing that after 20 years, that will be the entire industry, and which can give
Yes.
some much more employment than any other industry right now in the current area in India. So everything, whichever we are doing in AI will never replace that particular front. That is one myth. Second thing, what if AI goes wrong? See, human being can also go wrong. So it's not like that AI will only go wrong. So when we say something right or wrong, it all depends. But one beautiful thing which can be replaced with AI is biasness. So if the prompts are good, so they don't distinguish between how I look, how I speak, how I do, what I do. They work on which are the prompts which is given. So we are human beings and we are always stereotypes. Very frankly, no matter wherever in the world we are, whether we are in USA or in Dubai, we are stereotypes. So when it comes to litigating this all kind of biasness, AI plays a vital role in this particular front. Apart from that, AI also plays a decisive role in decision making, because when there are a lot of numbers and data, we cannot able to figure out a lot of things. So because of that, AI is helpful, but it will never replace a human being, which is the biggest myth in the market. And another myth is the salaries will get less. No, salary will never get less. It will in fact increases. Those who know AI, those who know the tool, the salary will increase for them. Okay, definitely. Those who will not go in the same journey, they will definitely left out. So we
Yeah.
have to and have to learn AI.
Thank
There's
you.
no other
Thank you,
option.
Yash. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's this is another question which is talked in most of the 99.9. I'm sure all of you will agree with me. Will AI replace our jobs? Everywhere this question is asked. And the answer, my take is AI as such will not replace any jobs. The person who is capable of using AI, understanding AI, might replace our jobs, right? Few of our jobs. And that is the take. So I think that's a very good point from you, Yash. Prithvish, I have a question for you. How can organizations ensure that AI-driven systems respect candidate privacy and then autonomy? Any thoughts, Prithvish?
Yep. No, I think while there's a lot of cool aspect of the experience layers that AI provides in every aspect of HR processes, one thing that we should always keep in mind, and I think a lot of time that I spend today with my legal and data protection teams is looking critically at what sort of vendor contracts or partner contracts we're signing, if at all we take AI tools into picture, how protected they are in terms of it can be encryption, it can be access controls, or it can be looking at the whole audit piece. And finally, how transparently are we communicating to a candidate about how the data is being collected, how is it being used, giving those disclosures, and there's a geography element to it, right? As in the US law, privacy law is very different from an India or a GDPR, a European Union law. So in that view, I think disclosures are very important. Taking right consents at the right screens are very, very important so that the organization is also protected in doing the right thing. And the candidate is also understanding that he or she is signing up for the right thing, and the data is being used only for the organization hiring purposes, right? So those disclosures are very, very important in my view. And I think, in my view, a lot of HR professionals and data professionals today spend ample amount of time critically reviewing before we sign up for any contract. So that's my take on this.
Thank you. Brilliant, brilliant words, Prithvish, from you. That's very, very important, right? Good. I think we discussed on the importance of balancing AI technology with definitely human touch in the candidate interactions. We talked about all those touch points, creating candidate experience. While AI can improve the speed and accuracy of the processes, maintaining a personalized experience for the candidates is definitely going to be crucial. This is the learning for me, take away from the sessions we had so far. Moving on to the next segment, as we all have understood that we all have to upskill, right? All the HR professionals, talent acquisition team that we have in this webinar, you all will agree with me that we definitely have to upskill ourselves. And then there's a need to adopt the AI technologies, right? There's no bias in that. We definitely have to look at, otherwise we are not in the right bus, right? So, Vishwanath, I would like to understand from you, what are those essential skills that HR professionals need to develop to effectively leverage AI and have that adoption in the talent acquisition?
Okay, there is a misconception in the industry that if I have to be in a job in recruiting, I need to know AI. But then the point is, you need to be functionally known in AI, not technical aspect of AI. You need to know how the data flows, how the system works, and all that. That is what is required, right? I give this analogy every time, right? So I have a great tool and a great human being. It's a great combination. I have a great tool, not a great human being, not a great combination. I have a not a great tool, but a great human being, not a great combination. So to the point, Shashikala, that you mentioned, right? So it's a technology and a human being working together. So according to me, there are 6 skills that I feel are important: data literacy, analytics, which is we talk about prediction, prescription, that kind of thing; technical proficiency of understanding the AI terminologies like machine learning, new NLP. Then we talk about cognitive computing. How is it? How robotics is different than machine learning algorithms and all that. Critical thinking. Okay, the data says something, but then what is my thought process on top of that? And ethics, right? So, and change management. Organization is going through some change. The job descriptions that we were using is no more the same. How do we look at that? Communications, great communication skills, continuous learning. And I use this terminology very well. It's called as project management. So every individual is a project manager, right? So they may not have a designation as a manager, but then they manage tool, they manage systems, they manage people, they manage candidates. You need to look at that as a project manager approach. That's when you know what is the scope of my role. Okay, my scope of role is to hire 10 people. So at the end of the month, did I hire 10 people? Did I use my AI correctly? Did I use my data correctly? Did I send my reports on time? Are my candidates happy about the offer that they've got? Are my hiring managers happy about the kind of interaction that they are having? That's more important, and that's the skill everyone needs to imbibe upon, Shishikala. Thank you.
Great. I mean, again, wonderful thought, Vishwanath. I must say, the art of balancing, right? Having right tool, having the right human, how to balance it. And also, you talked about having the functional knowledge of AI. We're not coders, right? We understand human better, right, than machine. We leave the machine part to the technical people, but we should understand the functional side of it, the terminologies. I think that much knowledge, I think we should be able to upskill ourselves. That's a very valid point. I'm sure all are taking the notes of these, very important points. This is coming from the real experience, right? Not a bookish language. Right? He has such a knowledge, and he's trying to, tell us what is important for us. That's our takeaway on this. Varsha, again, this question is back to you. How can organizations facilitate continuous learning? We all know continuous learning is important, and upskilling for HR professionals in the context of AI adoption. What is
Thank
your
you for
take?
that question. Again, my co-panelists are sharing excellent answers here. So, as Vishwanath mentioned, functional knowledge. I'd like to say one thing that most of the professionals, they think that okay, I am an accountant. I'll have to upskill myself, or I have to know AI. They go for data analytics, but they are not understanding that in my accountant, in that, what is the exact AI tool that I need to learn. That
Yeah.
functional literacy is different, and just advanced Excel or just data analytics, that is different. So I just wanted to say that. Okay, so my answer to the question, so we all know principles of management, right? Where we talk about subordination of individual interest to organizational interest. I would say I would deviate a little bit from that. The organization needs to think about the employees individually. what my, let's say HR professionals, what do my HR professionals, what do they want to do? Right? They need to have meetings with them. Let's say the HR managers or the management of the organization needs to have meetings with them and try to understand what do you want, try to understand. Let's talk about Maslow's need hierarchy theory. I would definitely say that all the HR professionals would definitely go for self actualization needs. I think all of us think alike, right? So in case of a recruitment professional, the management needs to know, okay, where we are right now, where do you want to be, right? If you want to be in this field, or if you want to be in that designation, how can I provide, how can I facilitate? So like, do I need to bring different kinds of resources? Do I need to add new kind of vendor support to you? Or do I need to, introduce new kind of webinar materials to use to upskill yourself, right? Same thing with operations professionals, same thing with um, a payroll a specialist, so whatever it is. So I think the, constant communication, constant check with them. So not just organizationally thinking, but thinking about the HR professionals individually, understanding their personal needs and motivation, trying to understand the gap, and then facilitating whatever that they're acquiring for. I think we would reach there. Eventually, the organization as a whole would reach there. And I believe if the HR department is excelling, then eventually the whole organization would definitely reach there. Thank you,
Yeah.
Shashikala. Yes.
Very, very well said, Varsha. It's not that someone is going into some learning, I should also get into the race. No, it's your individual, right? What do you want to become? What is your personalized career path or career progression, right? That is to be connected to the learning path. I think that is what Varsha is trying to, you know, convey, right? Thanks, Varsha, for adding that point. Prithvesh, I would like to understand from you, can you share a bit of, few examples of successful training programs you might have seen in your experience, or initiatives that are aimed at preparing HR professionals for AI adoption in the talent acquisition? Prithvesh?
Yeah. So I think in my view, I'll resonate to what Vishwa and Varsha spoke about in terms of upskilling HR folks in AI, right? As in, and I always use this in multiple forums when I talk about HR, because we're already talking too much AI. What we also need to focus is on our HR brilliant basics and not forget that, right? And once we get that solid foundation throughout our career and not just the initial phase of our career, then any form of tech comes in, adoption and utilization of that tech becomes much more easier and effective and efficient, right? There are beautiful programs today. Some of them are freely available for all of us to consume, right? And I'll share that on the chat after I finish. But my clear focus from a methodology standpoint, and I'm a big proponent of the skills first organization approach, right? As HR, we've always focused on jobs, and then we look at assigning training for employees that is available in the organization. I think we'll have to look at what the role really requires from an upskilling, cross-skilling standpoint, identify those skills. If the skill today in AI, in HR, for example, AI-powered performance coaching is a skill, right? So today that is a very emerging skill for HR professionals. So how do you identify this? Is a very structured way of doing it through net scraping, right? So once you identify that, you'll have to know who is the right individual in HR who needs to undergo that training. Once you've identified that, make the person undergo that and see the adoption and the utilization in that, right? So my view is it may not be just sourcing as a skill, which was there a few years back, but you may see probably AI powered sourcing, whereas you functionally sourcing, at the same time how it is used from a tech standpoint, and how does that work become easier to know. So that's my take on this, and I'll share some of the courses on the chat for everybody to consume. But otherwise, I think Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, Udemy, all these platforms have amazing courses. Thank you.
Thank you, Prithvesh. That's a very good, information, right? Going forward, we will use the term called AI-powered sourcing, right? Not a general sourcing. And then thanks for taking the lead, sharing those information with our audience. That will really help. I have seen someone from the audience raising the hand. Please bear with us. We have the Q&A session at the end. We will be able to take your questions there at that point of time. Please bear with us. Yeah. Yash, according to you, what
Yeah.
role do HR professionals play, again, in the same topic, in driving the adoption and the implementation of the AI within talent acquisition processes?
See, HR is the heart of the organization. As we all are HR, you know it very well. And to pump anything through the organization, it goes from the heart itself. So if the HR doesn't know exactly or he don't have the mastery in AI, he will not able to inculcate. So he can put in the KRA KPIs. He can force also the departments to work, because at the end of the day, nowadays HR is not just an HR, or talent acquisition is not just a talent acquisition person, but he also looks about the productivity of the team. He also look about the cost center as well in the organization, and he needs more and more productive people. To get more and more productive people, we need to learn more and more AI, so the things can do it in a much faster way. As my co-speaker has already talked about transactions and all, so if the transactions happens in the day-to-day life in a very faster manner with 100% proficiency, then we can reduce on the cost side as well. And apart from that, we can also mitigate a lot of challenges which are happening in our day-to-day environment in terms of HR. So that is one sort of a thing which is there.
Great, great. I like the point, Yash. You said that this is the heart of the organization. I would say talent acquisition team is the oxygen for any organization,
Mm,
right? Because that's the
agree.
starting point, right? We hire talent. That's this right hiring right people at the right place at the right time. Of course, at the right cost. The right
Cost.
place
Yeah.
is very important. Cost again, it comes at the later point. But again, this is what we do, and that's the starting point, right? And today people are our assets, and that definitely that's the TA team is the oxygen for any organization. I keep repeating this with my teams as well. That's a brilliant take from you, Yash. Varsha, again, I'm circling back to you. When we are talking about so much of upskilling, right? It's not cross skilling, but yes, definitely upskilling, AI adoption, and all that. There will be resistance, right? Whenever there is something new, there is a change management. There's a lot of resistance also, obviously. So, what do you think? How can organizations overcome this resistance to AI adoption among HR professionals? I'm talking about HR and HR folks and other stakeholders also, especially in talent acquisition. What do you think?
Okay, yes. Yes, so definitely that's mandatory that there will be resistance from our team, HR professionals, and other stakeholders as well. So, this is where we need to focus on the data, right? We need to, let's start with HR professionals, right? We present the data. Okay, so this is what we were doing in the past. We were using these kind of tools, that tool, okay, success factor, XYZ tool we were using, but this is the percentage of result that we brought in today. Okay, but at this point of time, if we use this ABC AI tool, then we can have 50 percentage of productivity, right? So if we share a real time data, right, comparing to maybe another HR professional or another organization, I think this is a way to boost their productivity in one case. Secondly, stakeholder, let's say hiring manager, okay, and they're not utilizing the AI properly, or they're resisting towards, or they want to stick, okay, this is how we've always done in the past, so we are sticking to that, right? So that time we think about SWOT analysis. Okay, we are aware that this is our strength, this is our weakness, this is our opportunity, this is our threat. So our competitor is doing that thing. Okay, so let's talk about talent acquisition itself. You had opened a position because you had a pain point in that particular department. But if you are resisting to do something about using this AI, then you would be, the person who's going to suffer the most. So if we take it more diplomatically, using the data, right? And providing constant reports, feedbacks, and always keeping others accountable. I think combining all these things, definitely soon we can definitely overcome all these factors and move ahead. Yes. Thank you, Shashikala. That
Thank
was
you.
a great
Thank you,
question.
Varsha.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, on the change management, that's a great take from you, Varsha. That's wonderful. Now that we understand that, successful integration of AI in talent acquisition requires HR professionals to develop new skills, embrace continuous learning, of course. And we also heard about various training programs and initiatives that are available and that can help HR teams to stay updated and then proficient in using AI technologies. Wonderful speakers, yeah. I am moving on to the next segment, which is the fourth segment. Now we have seen human side of it, AI side of it, right? On the flip side, whenever we do these adoptions, new age technologies, right, there is something called ethical consideration which comes into the picture. So we would like to see what are those ethical consideration in AI-driven talent acquisition that we have now. Question for you, Prithvesh. What are those ethical dilemmas, I would say, may arise when we talk about this whole adoption? What are those dilemmas from the ethical side of it may arise from the use of the AI in the talent acquisition?
Sure. Thanks for that. I think we covered some bits of it from different speakers, but I think just to sum it up, while this is a very immersive topic, few points that come to my mind is, how do we look at unbiased way of including AI in recruiting or in HR otherwise, and the whole data privacy and security, which I spoke in my last point. Then there is this: how do you explain the usage of data in AI for candidates and for stakeholders, and the transparency that goes with it. And then comes in your, how do you mitigate or how do you get your algorithms right? Right, as in algorithms will have its own biases because it's humans who are eventually building those algorithms. But how do you get that right? How do you curate it right? How do you monitor it, audit it, etc. Right, and then the infamous human AI collaboration, right? So constantly, you can't let AI run on its own. You can't let human function on himself or herself. It's the collaboration that's required for this to run beautifully. And finally, innovation comes with responsibility. Right, it goes without saying, but it's also very important that when you innovate something, when you bring something to the forefront, and when you massively change the core of a certain process or a function, that has to be owned with accountability and responsibility. So I think while we look at all these 5 6 tenets, ethical consideration gets covered in a very big way, and obviously the ones who will have to do all of this is not AI but humans, right? So that's I will not shy away from saying that, and hence it becomes all the more important for all of us to be in this game rightfully so and ethically. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Prithvish. That ethical dilemmas, right? You have really summed it up well. Vishwanath, in your experience, right, how should organizations balance the potential benefits of AI again with the ethical considerations and concerns? Of course.
Okay. So first thing is, like Prithvesh mentioned, taking accountability. AI will not take accountability of ethical consideration. It is a human being that is you and me have to take that. So
Mhm.
there are seven blocks that I have. I think I want to talk about. One is first of all clearly establishing an ethical guideline of how do you want to use the AI, and you need to promote transparency. And there is a lot of bias that comes out. So how do you ensure that there is a fairness and bias? How do you ensure that there is no human oversight in the process that is creeping some bias and that's also creeping some ethical considerations? I think data privacy, Prithvesh spoke about GDPR and all that. How do you want to ensure that data privacy and data security, both of that? And I think it was, I think Yash who spoke about candidate consent, right? So do we take consent of the candidate in advance so that we make that person aware that okay, this is how we are capturing your data, this is how
Mm.
we will use your data and all that, and finally constantly monitoring the entire algorithm to see how it is happening, whether it is creeping any additional bias that you are not aware of, and training the model, training the model and training the human being also is working on it, and finally feedback mechanism. So you see something going wrong, you have to immediately stop and see what's going wrong. Is it a human being related problem or is it AI related problem? Okay, has there been any other company who had solved this problem? How did they solve this problem? Understanding, talking to people like senior guys in the industry and all that, and then ensuring that it is taken care. So these are the things that I think we should do as part of the team, because ethical consideration is a big problem statement. But then I think if you have some of these things in your pocket, you will be able to sustain half of it or maybe 75% of it. Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's a very wonderful thought, Vishwanath, because using a tool or technology is one side, but again, understanding the ethical side of it, right? How are we using it? Is it right way of using? Are we, giving that heads up for the candidates? Maybe we have to look at our feedback templates, whatever it is, have those fine lines mentioned, right? To tell them that, hey, we use this kind of, system where it bias is taken care. I think this is a very valid question, in fact, for me as well, to go back and see what are those best practices that we can implement while hiring with the help of the AI tools and technologies that we have today. Moving on to you, Yash. Can you
Yes.
just provide few examples of organizations that have implemented ethical AI practices in their talent acquisition processes?
Yeah.
Any
See,
examples?
in the entire world, there are a lot of big Fortune 500 companies which already did this. Let's say, for example, Accenture. Frankly speaking, why I'm taking the names, they are the one who started as a preliminary when they are taking even the biometrics. They first take into consideration, okay, we are taking your biometric. If you agree, then it's okay. Otherwise, we will go with the second system. Same goes with Walmart as well. And Swiss banks. Swiss banks are the first examples of this particular things which you are saying about verification and taking permissions from the candidate. So when see, Swiss is known for the security and safety. So if they can have the security of their clients as well into that level, the same they have with their employees. You will not find a Swiss banker in the LinkedIn because how protective their data are. But sometimes that things are also not practically possible in countries. So it depends from country to country, area to area, and laws to laws. So in UAE, it's very difficult to get even the pictures of a women employees who are there. So my few of my co-members has already worked in Dubai, and if she's an Arab lady, you cannot force her to have a picture, right? We will be behind the bars within 24 hours if we say like that. But same will doesn't go in India. India, it's mandatory. So it depends on the
Mhm.
privacy law of particular country where we are working and how we are working. When it comes to AI and privacy, it all depends on how we have modeled our AI according to our organization, according to our country laws. Because AI doesn't make laws, laws makes AI how to work. So in the courtroom, if somebody comes and say like, okay, this was not something which was right done by the company, then a lot of things which are not right now in the law books as well, which will be coming after this Niti laws and all that with Bharti Nyaya
Yeah.
Samhita, which is going to become. So a lot of things we will going to see a drastic change in AI as well. So when Vishwanathan rightly said that we cannot blame AI for ethical consideration or any other things as such, but we can blame definitely those people who had developed that particular AI. And the same
Yes.
happened with Sam Waltman of ChatGPT as well, with the Blasphemy law in basically in UK and Dubai. So if you put somebody's a god name and they also try to create jokes as well. So same can happens with the employee as well with their face or with the skin color, with how they look. So that all depends altogether. The privacy itself is into question marks when it comes to AI, because all the data at the end of the day, it's giving somewhere to the satellites. So we
Yes,
cannot say
yes.
that it's 100% protected, but definitely we can protect up to a certain area.
I
At the
think
end of
Vishnu,
the
it's
human
time for us
being,
to take
yes,
questions now. I think we
yeah,
are
Yeah.
on the top of the hour.
Yes, yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Thank
and
you,
yeah,
Yash. I just have another segment which will take hardly few minutes. We talked about
yeah.
diversity, right? Maximizing diversity and inclusion in the AI recruitment process. Vishwanath, this
Yeah.
question is for you again. How can AI technologies be utilized to ensure diversity and inclusion and prioritize the recruitment process? Quickly, we'll finish these things on the diversity
So,
part.
yeah, I think it's important question that you asked. I think it's important to understand the bias detection and mitigation program that we have. At the sourcing stage, how are we doing? Is there a way that we can anonymize sourcing? One thing that I've started doing it is inclusive language in job descriptions. bias-free job descriptions. I think I'm sure many of you are aware of, and driving delivery metrics of diversity across the channels is what we need to look at, and personalized candidate experience in terms of what we do, how we do, and all that, and then training the model constantly and to enhance accessibility towards the population is what I think is the most important aspect that we look at.
Okay. Thank you, Vishwa. Yash, I have a question for you. What
Yes.
roles does AI play in identifying and mitigating the bias in the candidate selection, especially promoting diversity? What role does AI play?
It, AI plays a vital role. I tell you how it is. If we prompt it very correctly, that two-person has got selected for a particular role, having a similar kind of reason, so that can identify why he is selected, why somebody else is not in our team right now. Maybe we can think for a future, but why he is not right? It all depends on the JD which we have floated across and how the ATS works. So they can litigate. See, human being, I already told in my previous answer as well, human being is full of biasness based on caste, religion, gender, anything. So AI doesn't do that. So I give you a very beautiful example. In the front line of Indian Army, we see a very lesser of women, which I feel in this 21st century it should not be there. But if we put that with AI, it can definitely give you a 50-50 result as well, whatever we give the prompt. But a lot of times it has been because we think that women cannot do. But I personally feel that women can do anything. If Israel women can do, why cannot Indian women can do? But when it's a hiring process, we have to put reservation. In the parliament also, we have to give reservation to women. Why we need reservation? It should be on the basis of talent, purely on the basis of talent. I was in the aviation industry previously with Jet Airways. There were full of women. Why cannot a man can do? Man can also do. But as the head recruiter are generally females, they have that soft corner towards the female. That is a biasness. But all are one, and I feel every gender should be respected equally, and that kind of a biasness can be removed. There are certain biasness also on the screening. Like I got a 20% or 30% in that particular exam, whereas somebody got 80. It doesn't make him a great. It is only great for that particular exam. So if he screens the overall CV, it may be different. So that kind of a biasness, when we float the entire things, it can litigate that biasness. Language, tone, intonations. See, India is a places where everyone speaks English in a different tone. It brings from the background which they come from. So we sometimes give bias. Okay, these are South Indians, so these are very literate people. These are businessmen. Gujaratis, I'm Gujarati, so Gujaratis are businessmen only. So it's not like that. Every Gujarati is not Adani Ambani. So there are people who do jobs in Gujarat as well. So that kind of a biasness can be removed. So every time I go in an interview in my personal, they ask me, okay, 15 years in HR, why don't you do a business? You are a Gujarati. So that biasness, the machine will not take place. So that
Yeah.
kind of a biasness can be easily removed as such.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Wonderful to know that, AI will definitely play a crucial role in mitigating the bias, right, in the candidate selection. As
Yeah.
you rightly gave all those examples, definitely very good examples, Yash. So definitely, yeah. As we know, whatever gets measured gets managed, right, as told by Peter Drucker. So Yash, this question is again for you. How do organizations measure the effectiveness of AI-driven recruitment strategies in fostering diversity and inclusion?
So it's very simple. The biggest threat in the recruitment is when the people will leave and how he's performing. These are the biggest threats. So if a person is
Mhm.
there, is performing good for the longer period of a time. So everybody cannot give a sustainable performance. But even if he's performing for a longer period of time, whatever the organization needs, then definitely that AI tool is working for you. It's not about AI is good or not. It's about the tool which you are using or the prompt which you are giving is perfect for you or not. It has been found out of 100 AI mistakes, maximum mistakes are done by human being in prompting that things. If I
Yeah.
write I need an HR who is beautiful, so the beautiful words generally justify in AI with women. So he will not show the profiles of men's. Very simple. So we have to write like I need an intelligent HR personnel.
Okay.
So it can be without any gender bias. So a lot of time when we are scrutinizing the CVs with the help of AI or ATS, when we are coding the ATS, because I'm not sure any of you guys are into AI coding segment as well. But when these developers are making their things, they are making a root cause mistake over there itself.
Okay.
So if we
Well
can
said. Well
mitigate
said.
that root cause mistake, things can be done easily.
Yeah, well said. Wonderful. So I have the last question, Prithvish. This is for you. What do you think? In what ways can HR professionals leverage AI to create inclusive recruitment practices that attract, of course, a diverse pool of candidates?
Sure. I know we're over time, so really short answer on this. Happy to engage later. But I think we really need to look at geographic nuances, what the law says on diversity inclusion. There are different parameters that we all look at when it comes to hiring. For example, North America has ethnicity and race as a big area apart from gender. So I think you'll really have to look at when you look at algorithms, when you look at search, funnel, etc., on what exactly you look for, and democratizing it. Meritocracy takes first stance anyway. So that's the way you'll have to look at talent attraction there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Prithvish, for quickly summing it up. Now that we know that AI technologies offer significant potential for promoting diversity and inclusion in the recruitment, there's no doubt about it. We are at the end of the session. I would like to quickly conclude the session, right? As we conclude this insightful session on leveraging AI in the technology, definitely I want to thank our distinguished speakers for their valuable real contributions and all of your active participation. Today, we have explored all the 5 critical segments of it. And then in summary, if I have to summarize, AI presents numerous opportunities to revolutionize talent acquisition, no iota of doubt, but it must be approached with careful consideration of ethical complications. We talked about it, a commitment to maintaining a human touch, human elements, of course. We are all humans at the end of the day. No need to be robotized, not required at this point of time. We are still humans. Let's have that human mindset, and then of course focus on continuous learning for HR professionals. Thank you once again, our panelists, for sharing their experience and expertise with us, and of course to our audience for engaging in this important discussion. Let us move on to the Q&A quickly. I'm sure there's a lot of questions there, so it's time for Q&A. Let me see.
I must say, great moderation, Shashikala.
Thank you all with your support. I'm just going to the first question. Anyone can take it unless it is specially mentioned against the panel, Vishwanath, and all the panel, right? We can't see your video. Yeah. So Anand Babu's question, I think that's the, no, Rahul's question. Which all are the AI products are being used for recruitment daily? It's a practical question. Who wants to take it?
I think
I
Yash has
will
already
take.
responded that
Yeah.
in a while. So
Yeah.
maybe Rahul
See,
missed that. Yash.
HubSpot is there, which is going with AI. It's not 100% AI, but that is one of the
Acha.
cost-effective product which is there. So in talent acquisition, so what it does is it takes the entire CV from the pool of your mailbox and directly feed the entire data and scrutinize the entire data.
Okay.
So
And
you don't have to do anything in that.
yeah. Anand, your answer is also a question because answer there. I'll go to the other question. How AI can be used to set up an effective work culture into the organization?
I'll take that question. I think
Thank you.
we need to be effective to start using AI. So AI literacy from our side should be the first thing that we need to look at. We need to understand what is the problem that we are trying to solve, because there are hundreds and hundreds of tools who will come and sell it to you, but then is it not your problem is what you need to look at. So is your problem sourcing, screening, offer management, candidate management, engagement, or something to do with the overall process? If you're looking at the overall thing, I think Yash spoke about one of the companies which does almost everything. But then if it is more of engagement chatbots, I'm a great fan of Maya and Olivia. If you're talking about
Olivia.
and if you're talking about gender neutral job description, text.io. And if you're talking about engagement, then Beamery. If you're talking about something to do with how do we ensure that data analytics is happening, then there is a tool called I think it's Domo. The wonderful dashboards are created. You just on a click of a button, you can understand how the data is looking like, and it will also give you some analytics that you don't even understand, and then it will give you the prompt that hey, with this run rate you may not win the World Cup, right? When I say World Cup, our World Cup that we play every day, right?
Yes.
So those are the tools. Thank you.
I'm sure we are all taking notes of it, guys. It's very, very important inputs from Vishwanath. Thanks, Vishwanath, for that. And the next question is coming from Siddhi. What's your thought on DPDP Act? Who is going
Okay.
to take that? Prithvish, do you think you can take it?
No, I'm sorry, I'm not
DP.
familiar with that, so
Okay, I
Okay,
I'll
can
okay,
pass.
take
okay.
this.
Please.
See,
I
this
can add, Yash, you
DPDP.
can go on.
Yeah.
You can
So
go on.
this act is pretty new after the Indian IT Act 2000. This is something which is newly came. Indian DPDT. It's about protection of rights and all. But the problem with this, it is half written and half implemented right now. So there are a lot of biasness in this particular act itself. But when it comes to this act, we can fulfill this whatever this act is about, the protection and rights of that particular thing. Definitely we have to use that and we have to follow that the guidelines which is given. It is not perfectly an act, but it's the guidelines by the honorable Supreme Court.
Yeah, so I just want to add, it's just understood as we speak. Implementation timelines are taken care. In fact, we still
Yeah.
have more time to implement. I might have to drop off. I thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
All the
Thank you,
very best to
Vishwanath.
you.
Thanks for your
Take
time.
care.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a few more questions. Maybe Varsha, Yash, and Prithvish, any one of you can take it. One question is, this is from Siddhi. Again, I think, how Digital Personal Data Protection Act will affect the TA? Can we continue using the mail ID and contact number of the candidates without their consent? Very, very valid question again from Siddhi, right? Who would
Yes,
In
I
like to
my
can.
take?
view,
Pritesh.
Yes, go ahead,
Prithvish here,
Prithvish.
yeah, in my view, understanding the act and also from inputs from our legal teams, we still cannot. In our own company interest, we still need to take consent because there are different ways of interpreting that similar act. So it's always better to follow the consent model.
Okay.
I agree
All
with
right.
Pritesh on the same. The consent form need to be signed before taking any of the details of that particular individual. And the mask Aadhaar card should be used, not the original.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's another question which is again repetitive from Subhanshu Parsi. Hi team, if anyone is offering using AI in talent acquisition, talent development, please share the AI tools here. That's I think for the audience. What is the other question time to take? How do you evaluate the cost benefit analysis of AI tools in your talent acquisition process? We'll take few more questions. I think we are running time up. But again, Varsha, do you want to take it? How do you
Yes.
evaluate the cost benefit analysis of AI tools in your TA processes?
Yes, I
Important
think this
question
is
again.
related to what I've mentioned in the past. We need to talk about and we need to analyze our past data, whatever, if we have used another XYZ tool in the past, then we need to generate what kind of result that we brought at that time. And we need to understand if you want to use one AI tool, is if an organization is using that tool, what kind of result did it bring, right? So that's one data that we have to generate the report, and if it is matching to the budget, then definitely we can go ahead with that. So
Okay.
budgeting and cost controlling would be definitely taking part here, taking considering of the past data that we have, and with the usage of past resources also that we have done. Yes.
Okay.
Just
Thanks,
just to
Varsha.
add,
Yeah.
just to add,
Go ahead.
hello. Yeah, the classic metric that we can use here is the cost per hire and the turnaround time, right? So that clearly gives you a view on cost benefit analysis on those AI tools.
Thank you. Thank you. I think one last question I will take, and with that we'll sum it up. We have already, way beyond our time. One last question. Is there any AI filtering integration with Naukri.com?
So frankly speaking, legally it's not, but in Naukri itself there is something called AI and Naukri. But there are certain chatbots, there are certain filtering tools we can use, but it might block your ID if you try to use that particular front. So it's better to concern with Naukri.com before using any AI tool because it's their product and they have their all rights how to use it. But they, for
Thank you.
filtering, they do have that.
Yeah. Thank you, Yash, for taking that last question for us. Wonderful audience and wonderful questions. We are way beyond our time, and I'm sure time is up for the panelists as well. Thank you, Yash, Prithvish, and Varsha, and of course, Vishwanath, for being the eminent speakers for today. Wealth of knowledge. I'm sure we all have good key takeaways. I do have. Definitely, it's the same case with all of us. Thank you, HROne team, for bringing us all together on this platform today to discuss on this very important topic. Thank you all. Have a great evening ahead. And
Thank you, everyone.
for more questions, the panel is available on the LinkedIn. Please get in touch with them, and they're all here to help us out with our queries. Right? Please make most of it. Thank you. Good
Thank you.
evening. Yeah. Thank you. Signing off.
Have a
Thank
nice-
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.